It's the TMI Project Podcast, a series of stories about the too much information parts of ourselves we usually leave out because we're too ashamed or embarrassed. I'm your host, Eva Tenuto. This is Season 1, Tragedy plus Time equals Comedy. Sometimes the worst childhood memories make the best fodder for dark comedy. Hayley Downs grew up in Central Florida in a chaotic home where she went to elaborate lengths to dodge the rage of her troubled parents. It all came to a head on the day of her 10th birthday party. The experience haunted her until she wrote about it at TMI Project's Weekend Writing Intensive at Omega Institute in September of 2016. We invited her to read it a few weeks later at Voices in Action, our annual fundraiser.
It's my 10th birthday. I am a gloomy nerd with a potbelly, an Ogilvy home perm, and smudgy glasses. But today, I am happy because I'm having a party. Ashley, Claudia, and Missy are coming for pizza, and we'll play games and goad each other into hysterics, high on Kool-Aid and buttercream frosting from my awesome Garfield birthday cake. Even Wanda Beavers, my torturer, my oppressor, is coming. A brief cease and desist to join the celebration. My mother is raging around the house with a vacuum, alternately weeping and shouting at me to get out of her way. Although our house is already obsessively clean, worked over, and daily scrubbed like a murder scene, she is panicking. Why? Because it's filthy, she shrieks. 2 hours left to go, and she's running out of time. She foams, wipes, mops, and glows herself into a frenzy. Her misery, as always, is like a deep fog that rolls through the house, seeping into every little corner and crevice. I know this dance. Staying docile is the trick. Avoid eye contact. I just have to make it to party time and all will be well, because in the public eye, she is sweet and warm. 1 hour until they arrive. She is ironing napkins, emitting faint whimpers. Not enough time. Nobody ever helps me. I pretend clean around the house, keeping a paperback copy of Blubber by Judy Blume hidden in the waist of my shorts so I can sneak read when she's not looking. 45 minutes to go and she's hanging streamers. Take a bath, she barks, and do something about your hair. When I return to my room, chubby girl flesh wrapped in a towel, I close the door and notice my lunchbox, a La Lunch sack with a long strap like a purse hanging on the doorknob. I brought it home from school last week, and instead of dropping it in the kitchen, distracted, I hung it here. It must be the bag's gentle bump against the closing door that is the tipping point. Inside, the slow-boiling army of maggots that have hatched on the carcass of the leftover fried chicken I declined to eat last week burst forth, spilling out of the bag and onto the floor. A million tiny, writhing white bodies are squirming deep into the fibers of the brown shag carpet. Like zombies in a horror film, they keep coming. As if my La Lunch sack has a fake bottom. As if hell has been made manifest in my bedroom. That's when my mother walks in. Her screams ricochet around the room, swirling around my head like harpies, smashing my heart like plaster. I wonder if the neighbors will come, but they never do. Now I've really ruined everything. I'm literally the worst kid on earth. Those screams. My room is a prison cell, and I'm trapped. My mother and 5 million maggots are standing between me and sweet freedom. And then something amazing happens. I leave my body. My soul just departs, hovers over by the window, and I'm just watching myself across the room, scooping maggots with one hand, clumsily clutching at my towel with the other. I'm no longer the perpetrator of this crime. I'm just an innocent observer. 2 cans of Raid, 3 rolls of paper towels, and a tripled up industrial garbage bag later, the doorbell rings. It's time. I return to my body in time to see my mother push her face close into mine. Now you get out there, she growls like Joan Crawford, and you show your guests a good time. And I do. Obediently, I arrange my face to receive my guests. All carnage evacuated, we are a united front. We are happy, and this is a special day. Later, we girls have congregated in my bedroom. We're standing over by my desk, ogling a teen beat with Rob Lowe on the cover, when a single maggot, the lone survivor, begins inching its way across the vast expanse of my desk. Ew, a maggot, squeaks Wanda Beavers, that bitch. With the palm of my hand, I smash it into oblivion, look Wanda in the eye, and tell her she is mistaken. I am so fast, nobody else even sees.
Hayley, do you remember the first time you read that story?
The night before I read the story at Omega, I read it to my husband and asked him if it was too dark to read in front of an audience of people. And he said, no, I actually think it's kind of funny. And I said, what are you talking about? It's so dark. But then, in fact, everyone laughed when I read it. And I was so surprised.
It's our last episode of the season. We'll be back with our Black Stories Matter series.
When I was younger, the only way I knew to deal with things was to be like a fighter. It didn't take a whole lot for me to just snap. But once I initially had my first fight and seeing that I could win a fight, then I was like, that's my go-to. The wind could blow hard, you could step on my Nikes, and you could go to the emergency room that day.
I'm Eva Tnudo, and my co-host is Micah Blumenthal. Not only was Hayley Downs the featured storyteller in this episode, she's also the TMI Project Podcast producer. Our Director of External Affairs is Sarah DeRose, and Operations Manager is Blake File. Our theme song is Secrets by Edison Woods. This episode of TMI Project's podcast, Tragedy plus Time equals Comedy, was produced in partnership with Radio Kingson, with production assistance from Ida Hakkila, Nate Brogan, Marlan Barry, and Manuel Blas. Here's the part where we ask for your help. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps. TMI Project is a nonprofit organization, and we rely on the generous support of our listeners. Help us continue to create radically true stories that have the power to change the world. Make a donation today. And now, if you're inspired to tell your own story, join us this summer at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. Micah and I will be teaching a TMI Project True Storytelling Workshop August 23rd through the 28th. You can find the details on our website, tmiproject.org.